What's up, guys? I'm gonna do something a little bit different for a video today. If anybody's watched my stream or anything, you'll know I usually don't use a camera even in there. Um, but with all the videos I've seen lately with people talking about their rants, or whatever you want to call them, with the state of the game right now, um, I just kind of wanted to weigh in a little bit on it. I know that I'm not a a big name content creator or anything for this game, but I think most people that see this video will have seen me somewhere. If you haven't seen me playing and killed me at some point, or stopped by my stream or anything like that, you've probably seen me in somebody's chat, modding, just talking. I make my rounds quite a bit for this game. Um, because it's by far and away the best game I've played, probably. And right now, it is the best game around, in my opinion. Maybe there are issues with it and everything, but I mean, you guys probably know exactly what I'm talking about. You try to go play something else, especially another shooting game, and it's just not satisfying anymore. You don't get the risk reward, or the adrenaline rush, or anything like that you're going to get from playing Tarkov. So I just kind of want to do what little I can to maybe keep the community in the state that it's in, and keep it from backsliding a little bit, people getting too pissed off. I don't think that everybody's like that or anything, but I've definitely noticed, like, especially like out of people I know that I play the game with, I've seen more people put up the game already than I've ever seen in any of the wipes that I've been in so far, or in my time playing. So I definitely see that there is something going on. I don't think the game is in its death throes, though, which I'm not gonna go through anybody's names in this video, at least not in reference to their rant videos or whatever. But I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen some. There are some that literally say this has got the worst dev team that's ever worked on any game. That the game is dying right now. There's no player base. That it's just over. That they have no hope of fixing the issues, because they just, every time they fix something, they make it worse. I mean, I've seen people setting themselves up like they're the greatest guy this side of the Mississippi, and they're, going against their own financial interests to bring you guys this info and stuff. And then on the other end, I've seen a bunch of people that, I've seen people say that the helmet bug was okay, and that we just need to adjust our aim a little bit, and we shouldn't complain so much about stuff, and that the flea market is great, and there's nothing wrong with it, and people just need to spend more time on it or get to know it better, and they'll be able to have infinite money and blah blah blah. Well, I just kind of want to get to like a middle ground between those two. So what I'm going to do is just kind of go over some things that I've found consistent through a lot of the videos, a lot of the things that the people have talked about from both of those angles, and I kind of want to get to a little bit of a, what I would say is a better spot to be at, because I don't think that constantly haranguing the devs and telling them that they're the worst ever and that the game is failing and stuff, I don't think that that's gonna bring any positive results, really. I mean, they definitely need to have a fire put under their feet about certain things, but I don't think that that's the way to go about it. And I also don't think that dismissing every concern that people have is a good way to get people to want to keep giving you feedback. And this is a beta test, so the whole point, at least in theory, is that we're giving them feedback and they can fix things. So I don't understand the I mean, you'll see people literally say, well, it's a beta, and that's why we shouldn't complain so much about it. Well, that's the point of the beta, is for us to tell them what the issues are and to improve the game. So yeah, let's just crack into it. The first big one for sure that I've seen a lot of people talk about is the flea market. I think that's because everybody has been affected by it in some way, positive or negative. I know a lot of people have made a bajillion rubles on it, and they think it's the greatest thing this side of the Mississippi. But there are definitely some issues with it. So I've heard everything on the negative side from the flea market is just a distraction. I've heard that they intentionally set the trader reset to 3 hours knowing that it would be bad, just so that later when they bring it back to an hour or 2 hours or whatever they end up setting it out eventually, because I do think they should lower it. But that will look like they did something good, so they can just get away with not really doing anything to help us and look good in the end. Like, some of these arguments just seem ridiculous to me. It's definitely not a distraction. It serves a purpose, and they've said for a long time they want this game to be a player-based economy. I think it's a good idea overall. I'm not going to sit here and act like it hasn't helped me finish a bunch of tasks already. I've by far and away leveled further this wipe in a short amount of time than any time before. I know a lot of that has to do with the quests in general giving you more experience, but I'm sure the ability to sit there and do 8 gunsmith tasks in a row like I did before I could buy any of the pieces probably didn't hurt. So I definitely enjoy having it around. But the 3-hour window was very ill-advised. So this is on the positive end. I've heard a lot of people say, that people just need to adapt to it. Fixes are on the way, so we should just kind of grin and bear it for now. And I've also heard the argument that, like, with the flea market, all you've got to do is, maybe sometimes you can't buy a lot of ammo because it's super expensive. I don't know if you guys have seen the BS rounds and stuff, but, like, those are keeping me alive. I just go around interchange, find BS rounds, and go sell them, and you make a freaking fortune. If you just come out of an inventory with a bag full, or out of a raid with an inventory full of 5.45 ammo, you're set. So I kind of understand the idea that you can buy your way through the pain a little bit by just farming stuff and selling the right stuff on the market. But, like, as a streamer, I don't want to sit there. I can't imagine somebody, Veritas or Slush or any of these guys with big chats. I couldn't imagine them wanting to sit there and have 500 people watching them, and they're just sitting on the flea market for an hour going through stuff, trying to figure out what they can buy and sell to make money and stuff. Like, it's just not something you want to be sitting there doing on stream. So it should not be to the point where you have to do something like that to endure it. I think the answer is definitely to reduce the trader windows. Veritas brought up a really good point about, if you don't play for more than 3 hours at a time, you just don't even get to see a trader reset. You never even have an opportunity to get any of the trade-ins. Like the money ones, the MPX, a lot of people trade in for that to sell it. You'll never get an opportunity to do that or buy SP6 rounds or rounds for the MP7 or whatever you want to get. So I definitely think that the window needs to be dropped. Like with the armor changes that they put in recently, the fact that you can only get 2 Gen 4s in a 3-hour period before you got to go get kind of gouged on them, that's probably not ideal. Like, if you're somebody like running factory runs over and over again, you're going to die more than 2 times in 3 hours. You're going to need more armor than that. I think they're definitely moving it in the right direction, though. They've made some changes so far. So the idea to me that it's just a distraction and it serves no real purpose and all that, I definitely don't agree with any of that. I just think that maybe they should take a little bit more feedback on it. It seems like they are, because like they did implement the item limits here recently, but everybody's said that the trader window is too long, and maybe they're trying to force people to use the flea market a lot just so we can get a lot of testing done for it this wipe. I understand that too, but say something to us about it then. Come out and say, well, this is why we're doing this. We like your ideas. We'll work with something in a little bit, but for right now, we just kind of want to test out the market. So I think this one really could just be fixed by them talking to us a little bit more about what's going on. Maybe they've said something like that, and I just haven't caught it. That's a very real possibility. Like I said, I try to be out in the community a lot, but I'm sure I miss things. So hopefully they work on that a little bit. I haven't even ran an MP7 yet, because every time I'm on, I can't get the bullets and stuff. I don't want to go spend 1 billion rubles on it. So I've just been kind of waiting until this gets resolved. But like before long, I'm going to end up just going and buying one. I don't want to spend 1 million rubles to run a gun because it's a submachine gun. You're going to have to buy a bajillion rounds for it. So like, yeah, if I'm sitting here waiting to try out the new gun that I've been hyped for trying, that you guys build up for a long time as the new content for this patch, like you gotta do something to let me know that waiting is worth it, or to make it a little bit easier to acquire. I don't know. I don't think that this is the biggest deal by far though, so that's kind of why I started with it. But yeah, it's kind of, I think that they could just fix it by just maybe talking to us a little more and letting us know what they plan to do a little bit more with it, or just, like I said, just saying, this is a good idea, that's a good idea, and maybe we'll work towards this in the future. So, yeah, let's move on to the next thing. This one was huge before, and now it has kind of been resolved. The scavs. When they first implemented the med animations, the day that came out, the scavs were, everybody knows, they were absolute gods. Like, you would get shot with a Saiga from 100 meters away, both your legs and an arm is blacked out already, and they're like moving, repositioning, and you're getting flanked by another one that's coming in because he heard the shots. Like, it was crazy. Now you can walk up on a scav, they're facing the other direction, you sit there, line up a headshot on them, flip them off, and then shoot them, and they're not paying attention the whole time. I definitely see that they needed to fix something. The big problem here was that they implemented too many things at once, I think. Like, they bring in the med animations, and then they implement it so that the fracture chance was enormous. And then the scavs are gods, like, all at once. And all those things just kind of culminated to make it to where there was a problem for a little bit, and everybody was dying. I mean, my survival rate on the first day of the wipe was absolutely abysmal. That being said, I honestly kind of had some fun with it. It is fun to not know if you're playing against a player or a scav. Like, I definitely liked the way they had implemented them moving around a little more and stuff. On Factory, it was a little scary. They would kind of swarm from the whole factory and stack up on you. And it was definitely a little nerve-wracking on Factory. So I agree that some changes needed to be made. They implemented the reduced fracture chance pretty quick. That was a good idea. The blur kind of got toned back a little bit. Definitely a good idea. But like I heard once again, just to kind of compare the two, like I've heard that scavs feel terrible and it makes the game unplayable, and they need to be put back the way they were, up to, well, the scavs are fine, and who cares if you die to a scav, it's not a big deal, and this game is supposed to be hard, and once again, I just don't think either of these do the actual situation justice. Should scavs be harder than they are right now since the fixes? Definitely, they are too easy again. Should they have a sixth sense where they hear you ADSing them from 200 meters away and all of a sudden duck down under your headshot and then fire 5 Saiga rounds at you and hit all 5 of them instantaneously? Like, no. So, like, the aggressiveness, like I said, on the other maps besides Factory especially, was really good. Them being accurate is fine, but like it does need to be tempered to what kind of weapon they're using. I can't hit 5 shots, bam, 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 like with a Saiga from that far. There's no way. So a scav that's not lore-wise, we're supposed to be the PMCs and stuff, like he should not be able to do that either. So changes definitely need to be made. This is nothing that they can't work on over time. I'm sure that this is one of the harder areas. I mean, I would think everybody would agree that even in the shitty states of the AI and then the good states of the AI, as far as skill level, they perform better than almost any other AI I've ever played in any game. So they're working on it. But I just don't think it was the unplayable nightmare that everybody thought it was. And I also understand that you know, when you're going into custom 6 times in a row to do a quest and you just get picked off by a random scab somewhere and lose that quest item and you never even saw him, or like he was, like I said, 200 meters away from you and Saigaed you and ate like 6 shots in the process. That's frustrating, and I can see why people were upset about it, for sure. So I don't think that dismissing everybody's complaints about the scabs is warranted either. Like I said, they responded to it quick. I think they overdid it with tuning them down, but we'll see where they go from there, and hopefully we get them kind of in a little bit of a balance between being Terminators and docile idiots. We'll see what happens there. Next big thing, med animations. That's obviously one of the big heavy hitters with this patch, what they wanted to get out. They've been talking about it for a long time. I've heard everything from the med animations are just absolutely ugly. They don't work right. They've ruined the game. Everything's so slow now. Up to the med animations are great, and they worked on this for a long time, and everybody just is failing to adapt to the new playstyle, and they're just being whiny bitches. Once again, I can't see how people hold these like complete polar opposite views and can't come to a middle ground on them a little bit. You just can't be listening to each other. You gotta be just like taking your own opinion as higher than everybody else's. I don't know. The med animations are not the most beautiful thing in the world, but they didn't ruin the game by far. You can still play aggressively. Yeah, sometimes you're going to have less health and you're going to pay the price for it. That's kind of this game in a nutshell. Like, you risk it, and sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. So to say that they're ruining the game because they slow it down a little bit, yeah, maybe you got to stop and pop a painkiller sometimes. That's avoidable. You can pre-med, you can use morphine instead. They're very quick. You can do a lot of things to work around it. You can cancel the animations. It's not like you have to sit there the whole time. There's a lot of workaround. But that being said, they do need changes made to them for sure. So I don't think that it's completely just a failure to adapt. Like having to use an IFAK 5 separate times and use like the whole length of the heal unless I cancel it, to heal 1 point of damage on every limb. That's annoying. And nobody wants to do that. I mean, a lot of times I've had 10 damage, 5 damage here on something, and I just leave it. I don't have time to mess with that. I'm dehydrating, or I need to move. I hear a fight and I want to get in on it. So there should, in my opinion, be some way so that, you know, if you've got multiple limbs hurt, maybe it goes from one to the next, or maybe it goes through the whole animation like normal, but it doesn't do the unzipping and the zipping every time, and you've got to like click it and wait for your guy to bring your gun up and everything. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Maybe you should just make it so the IFAK will continuously heal on one, and then you can, while it's doing that, drag it to another, and maybe it won't automatically go through your whole body, but if you're doing it as the heal animation's going on, maybe it will accept that input and just keep healing without unzipping it, zipping it, bringing your gun up and stuff every time. My main complaint with it was definitely the fracture chance at first, because they put so many fractures in and then put in this new thing, so it's like we're trying to adapt to, now all of a sudden we gotta actually pop a painkiller and not be able to shoot back if we get our leg broken out in the open. And you get your leg broken every single fight, both of your legs usually. So like, I definitely think that my main complaint with it has, for the most part, been solved. I don't get nearly as many fractures as I was the first couple days. They're still more prevalent than they were before this wipe. I don't necessarily think that's a terrible thing. They definitely did get better since they fixed the fracture chance. They definitely feel more manageable now. But I never thought it was unplayable or game ruining or anything like what people were saying it was. So that one is just a case in point, though, in my opinion, of them. They're working on stuff, and we can't come out with a video the day after the patch and accuse them of being the worst freaking company in the world because there was bugs in a patch. So I'm hoping that you guys are kind of seeing what I'm trying to do by now. Let's move on to the helmet issue. Now, this was fixed already, so I'm only going to talk about this for a second. My big thing with this was some people said that they did this intentionally. It seems wildly obvious to me, having played this game for as long as I have now, that that was not intentional. A lot of people have complained about helmets for a long time. They don't block anything. They're useless. Don't wear them. I mean, I hear that every day. Don't wear a helmet. Don't wear a helmet. Don't wear a helmet. I wear helmets generally, not all the time. But that's just because the amount of times I have a recorded clip of me getting shot in the head and it eating it is insane. It's not going to stop me when you're fighting a juicy guy. It's not going to stop his SP6 rounds or whatever. But it saved me from SMGs, from shotguns, pistols, countless times. So to me, it's just worth it to run one. But then I also saw on the opposite end of the spectrum that the helmet bug was completely fine. Just adjust your aim. Once again, you're being whiny bitches. We shouldn't complain about everything. They'll fix it. That's definitely not the case, and you shouldn't be called a whiny bitch because you're upset that you just shot a guy 16 times in the head and he survived. Like, that's an issue. Calling people whiny bitches for pointing out an issue in a beta test, which we're supposed to be pointing out issues and giving feedback, is not constructive in any way, shape, or form, in my opinion. Maybe I'm just being a Nancy about it. But I think we got to be a little more nuanced than that. They responded to it quickly, so those people that were on that side were a little bit on the right there. That at least they fixed it quick, so it wasn't the biggest deal ever. But for the time that it was in the game, it was a pretty big deal. And I think my main complaint with it was that at one point they said they fixed it. It clearly was not fixed. And this has kind of been a theme here with recently. That's not cool. Maybe they just didn't do enough testing on it first and they didn't know. I'm not sure, but this has happened with so many things recently where they've said it's fixed and it's not. And that's not really the way to go about things, in my opinion. So I think when you do stuff like that, especially when you've got somebody calling you a whiny bitch because the helmets are broken and you don't like it, and then the devs say they fix it and they didn't fix it, this kind of stuff adds up and gets under people's skin. Nobody wants to be lied to about something, and I'm not saying they were lying. Maybe it was just a mistake, but you just got to be more careful then about what you're putting out. You've got to get more people involved with testing the stuff before you release it. I don't know what it is, but you just got to be a little more careful about what you're doing. Now, they're not PR guys, they're game devs, but I'm not a PR guy either, and I understand that. So I think they just need to slow it down a little bit. It's got to be hard. You got people yelling at you all the time. They want to know what's going on. They want these things fixed right this second. It's got to be hard to not want to keep updating people with stuff. It's got to be hard to not want to put good news out. So I understand that. But you've got to kind of get going on being careful a little bit more with stuff. I think that the wipe situation where they, delayed the wipe for a while and then they upped the scav boss and everybody thought, okay, well, they're upping the scav boss. Usually they do this kind of stuff, like the reduced trader prices stuff. They do that kind of stuff right before a wipe. Which they did reduce the traders and then wipe it immediately within days. So, when everybody saw, where they're putting the scav boss 100%, and they specifically said till the wipe, that made a lot of people think it was coming right then, and then they delayed it more. So it's just you gotta be a little more careful with saying when you're going to do this stuff, and just kind of keep it close to your chest until it's going to be a little bit more ready. Because I think that when you push the wipe back and push back and push back and push back, you kind of alienated a lot of people doing stuff like that. So hopefully they take that into consideration with not just wipes, but with other fixes like the helmet bug and stuff like that in the future. That kind of leads me into my next point, the FOV issue. I'm sure everybody knows Veritas. I mod for him, and I'm in his chat a lot, so I've watched him do a lot of these testings lately that he's done with the FOV issues. He obviously put out a video. Go check that out on his channel. I'll try to remember to put a link for that. I gotta remember to do that. So check in the box in the bottom. There should be a link to that. Go check out what he did about it. I mean, the dude put in fucking hours probably of testing to measure distances and stuff, using crazy means like measuring with an SKS as a yardstick and shit. I mean, he put in some due diligence on this. And he's done it on stream, off stream, and it seems fairly clear that this is not fixed. He seemed to be of the opinion that it was a little better, but it definitely was not on yet. And we saw this last night. I was watching him stream. Somebody gave him this meme, Saiga 9, and it had a scope on it. And he was having to shoot literally not at the person. He was shooting so low that he could only see like their feet in the top of the scope, and it would be like headshotting them. And I mean, that's way off. Not only that, I haven't been able to see this necessarily myself yet, but I talked to Slush Puppy last night and some of the people that were in his channel. And he was saying that the reticles on some of the sights have been moved around. The example he gave was the PK06 is like 15 millimeters left of center, I think he said now. Or maybe down. I can't exactly remember, but we were talking about it, and we had both kind of agreed that maybe that, because that was new. We definitely agreed that that was new. And he actually said he measured it and everything with an actual measuring tape. So it seems like maybe that was them trying to adjust the issues, but they said that that's fixed. It wasn't even in the possibly fixed. They said it was fixed. So if that's all you've done is move a reticle and then you're going to go ahead and say, oh, we fixed it, you just can't do that. That's going to, once again, alienate a lot of people. People get upset about not, you tell them something's happened and then it doesn't happen. They don't like that. So just don't put it in the fixed. At a minimum, put it in the possibly fixed, or put it in the, hey, we're working on this right now, we know it's a problem section. But to put it in the fixed one, and then to, within one raid, you can go in and test it and it's still off. It just feels like you guys did one thing, said, oh, and just put it out that you fixed it. And right after the wipe debacle, right after you said the helmets were fixed and they weren't, like, just building this track record of saying one thing's fixed and it's not, saying we're doing one thing and we don't get it done on time is just, it gets a little grating over time. I'm starting, as I get in more and more into this, I feel like I'm getting more and more negative, and I definitely don't want to. So let me just take the time to say that, like, I'm pretty happy with the amount of fixes they've put in since 10.5 got released. I mean, we're already on 10.8, so that's what 3 hot fixes they've put in. They've responded at least within a reasonable amount of time to a lot of these issues. Like the FOV and the scabs, I specifically want to say those are going to be harder to fix than fixing the ricochet chance on a helmet. They're going to be harder to fix than the flea market issues, where it's just you're fixing menus and stuff rather than actual, like, gameplay mechanics. It makes sense that they got to those issues in the time that they did, and that they would still be struggling on the harder ones. So just don't say that you fixed it already. Don't say that it's okay. Guys not from Battle State that are out in the community, don't call people just a whiny bitch every time they ever say anything that's wrong with the game, because that's kind of the point of what we're doing here. I've said this 10 times now, but I feel like I need to keep saying it. That's the point of what we're doing is testing. So in that process, we need to be giving feedback. Otherwise, what are we doing? So I think really, if we just get into a groove where the people are more understanding in the community, and we kind of talk to each other a little more, and Battle State can get a little bit of a better handle on their communications, I mean, I think we're really heading in the right direction still. The game still feels good to me for the most part. I have had issues with desync sometimes still. It actually, at the beginning of this patch, seemed worse than it was before. It doesn't seem as bad the last couple of days. Everything in general, like, I have hope that they're getting this together here and we're going in the right direction. I don't want to see a bunch of videos out that say that the game's dying and let that go unanswered. So I just kind of wanted to bring those exact points to light and kind of break them down. So I hope I did a good job of that. Definitely let me know what you guys think. Like I said, I am no fucking big shot around here. But I love the game. I love the community. There is no better community for the most part. I love being in all the streams that I go to for this game. I never really got into to streaming and doing YouTube and stuff like I did until I started playing this game, because I love it so much that this is something I want to contribute to. So I just kind of hope that I'm helping pull the community more in that direction. It's already mostly in that direction. That's why I love it, but I just want to make sure we keep it going that way. Go check out Veritas. Go check out Slush Puppy. Somebody else I don't even think that I mentioned and I wanted to, Pestily. Those guys have been putting in a ton of testing. Anton, shit, of course, he did a whole video about the helmets. All those guys have been doing a ton of testing on stuff. I watch all those guys a lot, so pretty much all my information, I'm not going to go off my anecdotal evidence of the game for making a video like this. So a lot of what I've gathered comes from watching those guys put in the work on testing stuff for us, and they definitely deserve to be recognized for that. So go check out all those guys. I stream Tuesdays, Thursdays, Sundays, and lately it's wintertime. I'm not working as much as I do in the summer and in the spring. So I've been trying to stream some extra days. So pop by sometime if you guys want to tell me I'm an idiot for my opinions in this video, or watch me get killed by scabs, or whatever it is that I'm doing at the time. Probably not playing as well as any of the guys I just mentioned, but definitely stop by. Drop a comment if you disagree with anything I said. Be a shitlord about it if you want to. I don't care. I wanna talk to you guys about it. I want to try and make sure that I'm on the right track with what I'm saying. I don't want to be wrong about something. I would rather be told I'm wrong and correct my opinion than go on looking like an idiot. So don't be shy about it. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I know it's probably going to be a little bit longer maybe than my normal videos. It's something I'm not exactly great at yet. I'm going to try and get better at it, but thanks for enduring it with me. And I'll see you guys out there on the battlefield. Good luck, guys.